Hey friends, how you doing? Hope your week has been okay. Hope you're growing in faith. I hope you're growing in hope and love, even in the middle of just crazy, chaotic circumstances. We're reading through the book of 1 John at the minute, and today we're in chapter 2, and we're reading verses 1 to 6. Now, I love this book, and as you read through this letter, you get the impression that it's not so much being written as a letter from a church pastor to his congregants, or even from an apostle to his disciples. It's really clear as you read through this letter that it's being written from the perspective of a father to children. Several times in this letter, the apostle John says, "My little children," or "my dear children." This letter is just so full of fatherly love and affection, especially in the verses that we're reading today. Listen, verse 1, chapter 2. "My little children, I am writing these things to you so that you may not sin. But if anyone does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. He is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world." I love these verses. They're just so loaded with fatherly love and tenderness and affection. The Apostle John is writing to whoever's reading this book as if he's a father and they're his children. And he's saying, "Children, I don't want you to live in sin. I want you to live lives that are marked by purity and holiness and integrity and uprightness. I don't want you to sin." This is what we do as parents with our kids all the time. Day after day, we are instructing and training them to live, speak, and behave in ways that are God honoring, and in ways that build others up, and in ways that are going to cause them to flourish. Every day, my wife and I are training and instructing our kids to live lives that are marked by purity. We want to teach them to shun sin and rebellion and to embrace purity and obedience. And so every day, don't do this, please don't do that, live like this, make sure you don't speak like that, don't try and think like that, don't have that. Every single day we're teaching them and training them because we don't want them to live in sin. But at the very same time, we know that they're human and that they're children, and so that they will, from time to time, in fact often, they will live in ways that are sinful and harmful, right? And for me as a father, the only thing worse than deliberately sinning, the only thing worse than one of my children deliberately sinning, is if when they do sin, they choose to hide it and cover up. Because I know from my own experience and from the testimony of the scriptures that when you hide and cover up sin and rebellion, all it ever does is suppress and crush you into a place of misery, bitterness, and slavery. And so as a father to my children, all the time I'm saying, kids, please don't sin. Please live a life that is helpful and a life that is marked by purity and holiness. But listen, when you do sin, please don't hide it. Please don't hide it. So the worst thing you can do is to hide it. When you do sin, come and confess to me or your mom or to God, and there will be forgiveness and freedom as you confess. This is what the Apostle John is saying to his children here. He's saying, guys, listen, don't sin. I don't want you to sin. It's not good for you. It's not good for the world. It's not glorifying to God. But listen, when you do sin, you need to understand that you have an advocate with the Father. In other words, when you do sin, don't hide, don't run, go to him, confess, and you will receive forgiveness and freedom. And so let John extend that word of fatherly affection to you today. Don't sin. Today, work hard at living a life by the power of the Spirit of purity and integrity and holiness. But listen, if today you stuff up, which there's a good chance you will, If today you sin, don't allow that sin to drive you into a pit of despair and shame and condemnation. Understand that in your sin you have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. You have an advocate with the Father whose blood purifies you from all sin and all shame. So, little children, John would say, don't sin today, but if you do, don't hide, don't run. Come to him, confess your sin, and allow his life and his freedom to set you free. Bless you. I'm going to see you next week.